Paul Holiday explains much better than you. You're just rushing and I don't understand as a beginner. Maybe it is not for the beginner. This is the best Ionic 4 channel on YouTube. Thank you so much.
App review.
What's up, Simonics? Welcome back to a new episode where I review your applications. As you can see from my intro, the opinion about something can really vary. So sometimes I pass a house and I think, wow, that is really an ugly house. But for some reason, the people who constructed that house thought that that might look great for whatever reason. Really, we have different opinions and this is just my perspective on the applications that you share with me. I will give you my honest feedback on them because I think we all like to sometimes get feedback, and of course, as always, keep them going. If you get something new, post it below the video. After the last review video, I got a lot of comments and feedback and a lot of views. This really seems to be something you enjoy, and I think therefore we will do it next month again. But for now, let's do this. Alright, first one is called the NATO phonetic alphabet. And it is actually pretty funny app, but I think it's also helpful. You come into this application and there's already a word welcome on the screen, and if I hit the play button,
Whiskey, Echo, Lima, Charlie, Oscar, Mike,
I hope you're able to hear that. It basically reads out the NATO characters like Whiskey, Echo, Lima for the word. And if I change this word to, let's say, Ionic, it will read out India, Charlie. I enjoy this, so I can mark it as favorite. It is added to favorites. In terms of usage, this app is pretty straightforward. You can add these words, you can mark them as favorite, which copies them back here. You can also go through the alphabet right here. This is a cool functionality. Let's talk about what we could improve. So first of all, I don't really like an input field like this. It looks really hard, it has this black border, I don't know why, but I just don't really like it here. Perhaps I would make it the whole width, I would do it even more in height, because it looks really condensed and small. Then we also got ads, so there's also a remove ads functionality in here. If you click on it, I would actually directly restore it or call the dialog or give some more information what the user gets, and he supports the developer. That's a good idea to just tell a bit more about the in-app purchase. Besides that, purchase seems to work, but yeah, if I cancel it, I get this failure. I know this from implementing in-app purchase as well. It is a bit tricky, but perhaps that could be fixed as well. What I also dislike is the bottom area. So yes, there's of course always a reason to show tabs that are disabled, but having them in this dark gray on the background, background doesn't really look too good to me. I'm not sure which color I would pick, but it would be somehow different than it is right now. As I said, favorites work as advertised. You can go into them, you can copy the words, you can actually even share these words, and here you get the alphabet. It looks still also a bit, I don't know, I know what this means and every user will get it, but still I feel like everything in this app is very condensed, and I enjoy apps that have a bit more room to breathe. I think every UI designer will tell you the same, that an app needs more white space. Just make everything a bit bigger, give it space to icons, to buttons, don't use too small input windows like here. This might look confusing, you just want to show the information, but definitely giving the user in the app more space to breathe will help to get a feeling that the app is really light and modern, things like this. Otherwise, as I said, cool application. I'm not using this alphabet, but I can see the use case, so I hope a lot of users will purchase it. Definitely check it out if you're in that space, and congratulations to I'm not that good with French language. I'm Francois, I hope that's right. Good job on doing this. The next app is called EMS Pro. It is available on both iOS and the Android App Store. If I could click on this, I'm actually not sure. I thought this was like electronic sports, but it is some kind of clinical stuff. Before saying anything else, this app was developed by a member of the Ionic Academy, so I'm really happy to review it. Also, as it is in the domain of health and hospital stuff, everything I say is not meant to disencourage the creator. I really think it's awesome that people create these tools for hospitals or help patients or doctors or anything like this. And of course, in that domain, the functionality is definitely more important than anything else. And to ship something like this is definitely a great success. So everything I now tell about this application is just some improvement on top, because I know the purpose of these applications. So when I get into this application, the first thing I notice that I don't really like is number one, the bottom area of the tab bar. These icons are not really explaining a lot about the tab that behind them. So here a short information about the tab would work wonders. If you're like Evernote, people will 100% get what icon means what. But in this case, I'm not really sure what means what. And this also brings us to another problem, because when I click on this button right here at the bottom, it brings me to an external page. And that means you're leaving the application, and leaving the application is normally something you don't really want to have, because users should be in your application. If you need leave the application, like here to go to the terms of use or something like this, which actually opens them in the app, then I would put it into a screen as a small button, but not super prominent in the tab bar, because I think the tab bar functionality should really open tabs inside the application. That is also from the point of UX a bit confusing if a tab is opening actually an external page. I just noticed also that on this screen I don't like the height of these buttons. This really looks like an HTML page converted into an application like years ago, and that's when these kind of hybrid or cross-platform applications got a lot of bad reviews, because this doesn't look like iOS at all. Definitely use more hate, just like we had in the previous example. Text and different UI elements just need some space around them. And these buttons are definitely not the standard for iOS. The input field has the standard height, that's fine, but the rest of the buttons are definitely too small. This view is actually pretty awesome. Because it is really helpful. It was developed very nicely, I think. You get this patient where you can mark different areas and then calculate the burn in percentage. On this screen, actually, I see something else. Besides that, here we got maybe a bit too much white space. We got two buttons with the same color, and I would always advise to have one primary color. So if calculate on this screen is the primary function that people should call, like buy now, call now, calculate now, then this button should be the only one in that primary color, and the back button at the bottom could just be the text back in blue, so people are not so confused, where do I click now? That's just some strain you put on the user inside the brain. Besides that, there's a lot of information in here that I completely don't understand, but I think it's really valuable. Green on a blue background is perhaps something I wouldn't do as well. So in this case, perhaps a white card would make the distinction between the card and the background a bit better. Again, here, black on blue background is not really a smart idea. Okay, that opens once again a site. Perhaps there should be like a distinction between what opens a document or what opens an external page and what opens inside the application. So in terms of the icons, there's really a lot you can do. The user don't have to notice it, but it feels better to the user if it is consistent between the icons in the application and the functionality that is triggered once you click on them. I think I covered this also in the first video. Being consistent with your icons and your colors is really something. Just spend few hours on this, maybe just 2 or 3 hours, and think about to have the same icon for the same functionalities and to keep your colors, primary, success, warning, whatever it is, straight across your application. Last application is called Migrate, and it has actually a lot of reviews on the App Store. It is not available on iOS, so I'm really excited to see what is inside. I really like that the application starts with this introduction screen. So if you have a lot of functionality in your application, I think that's a great way to get your users set up and started about your functionality. Alright, now I'm kind of inside after the registration, so I really like that I'm automatically logged in. I can already see that there are ads at the bottom, and because the screen is empty and I haven't done anything, I really think it is always great to have a little explainer why there's no content and what's your next step. So in the best case, I can click on this, what is highlighted, exactly what I can do, and now I'm on the year screen, so now I have to click add again. Perhaps that could also be directly routed to open whatever I have to do. So select year. I'm actually not sure what I'm doing with this application, but in terms of the UI, I really like what I see. It is a bit blurry for you because I don't know why, but this device is not mirroring very well to my Mac, so that's why I always use the iOS device if the application is available on iOS. What I can see for now is that I really like the colors across the application, although again, perhaps primary or what is primary right now is not 100% clear, as I got the green button here and also this huge green, or basically everything is green. Maybe that is worth to think about, but besides that, the UI looks cool so far with a lot of gradients. On this screen we can also actually see what I mentioned before. Now the buttons have a lot more space, there's a lot more padding around the text, they have an icon, they have enough space between the icon and the text, perhaps maybe even too much. And there's a lot of padding between the buttons, so everything feels a lot lighter in this screen. So I'm not 100% sure about the functionality because we don't have this CGPA or calculation of scores. In Germany we also don't have the grades from A to F, we have numbers for that. This, the first time, looks a bit strange with the green background here around the board, around the input field, but besides that, working really great. The only thing I found is that the application has actually ads, and whenever you show ads in an application, there's normally a setting to our in-app purchase to disable the ads. So perhaps that's something to think about. Maybe the author also doesn't want this. If everything is free and you just want to share it and get a bit of ad income, which I would be interested how much it is, because I'm not sure if ads will give you a lot of money on an application that a user is not using on a daily basis, I guess. Yeah, I would say there's really not a lot to complain about this application, only that I don't really understand how to calculate or what I can calculate. But I think for students, if you're a student and see already value in this, go check it out. Migrate, I think only available on Android. To the developer, perhaps it is worth to create this for iOS as well, because you got a lot of great reviews on the Play Store, and I think users would also love to have this on iOS. Alright, this brings us to the end of today's
app review.
We've seen some great applications. I really enjoyed reviewing them. If you got anything else in terms of your applications, or perhaps also a website that you've built, leave it below. We will most likely have another review next month because I already got more applications on my list to review. To wrap things up for today, I think we've seen some designs that were created with functionality in mind, but not really giving enough room to breathe for the UI. So always remember to have more white space and white areas in your application than you think is necessary. I think that's a good rule of thumb. If you enjoyed our little review time, please consider giving it a like, or just do it anyway. Leave a comment which of the applications you enjoyed most and what you want to see in the next time. And then I hope you have a great week. You're gonna release some awesome apps on the store so I can then review them. I hope to catch you next week like always, so have a great week and happy coding. Simon.